Hello, everybody. Welcome to Southern Gal True Crime. If this is your first time here, thank you so much for dropping in and visiting with us today. It is Monday, so we have our missing person Monday for the week. Today is missing in Alabama. I have 10 cases from Alabama to bring to you today, and the cases I'm going to share range, I believe, from 1973 all the way up to the 2000s. So we have some very old cold cases and some relatively newer ones. So let's get started. First, we have Kimberly Nicole Arrington. Kimberly went missing on October 30th, 1998 from Montgomery, Alabama. She is considered endangered missing. She is a black female. She was 16 years old at the time of her disappearance, so today she would be 41 years old. And on the slide you see there, the bottom picture is an age progression of Tiffany to age 37. At the time she went missing, she was 5'2" to 5'4" and 110 pounds. She was last seen wearing a gray Bugle Boy shirt with a collar, light blue Levi's jeans, white Reebok sneakers with gray trim. She was wearing an emerald ring with 2 diamonds on each side and a double heart ring set with a diamond. It does say that she suffered from severe allergies, and as a result of that, she preferred to stay indoors at the time of her disappearance in 1998. She had black hair, brown eyes. She did have a small surgical scar on the left side of her abdomen. Her ears were pierced, and her nicknames are Kim and Kiwi. Kimberly was last seen in the parking lot of the CVS pharmacy on the corner of 3rd Street and Forest Avenue in Montgomery, Alabama on October 30th, 1998. She had gone to the pharmacy at around 4 p.m. to purchase candy and a soft drink. She never returned to her family's residence, and she has not been seen again. Her parents reported her missing after they looked for her themselves for several hours without result. They described Kimberly as a friendly and well-behaved teenager. She did enjoy children and music, dancing, and computers in 1998. She was planning her Christmas shopping on the day of her disappearance, and she had spoken to her father about it. She was a 10th grader at Jefferson Davis High School in 1998. Now, her case was originally investigated as a possible runaway just due to her age. We see that a lot in these cases. But investigators do now believe that she may have been abducted, but the circumstances surrounding her disappearance are unclear. And unfortunately, there are no witnesses and no concrete evidence of foul play. Kimberly's mother passed away in 2005, but her father is still alive and searching for her, and her case remains unsolved. So if you have any information about Kimberly, her possible whereabouts, if you think you may have seen Tiffany, if she still is alive, take a look at that age progression photo. And if you have any information, please contact the Montgomery Police Department at 334-241-2790. Next, we have Tasha Benjamin. Let me bring up her information. Tasha went missing on June 26, 2010 from Selma, Alabama. She is also considered endangered missing. She is a black female. She was 17 years old at the time of her disappearance. She'll be 31 years old today. At the time she disappeared, she was 5'2", 125 pounds. She was last seen wearing a yellow, turquoise, and white striped shirt, blue shorts, a silver necklace, and possibly silver sandals. She has black hair, brown eyes. She did have a tattoo of her nickname Pooh, P-O-O-H, on her upper right arm. She may wear tinted contact lenses. It does say she talks in a loud voice, and her ears are pierced. So Tarasha was last seen in Selma on June 26, 2010. She said goodbye to her mother and left home at around 10 a.m. to go to a flea market. On the way there, she stopped at a yard sale. She met with a relative. The relative apparently borrowed Tarasha's cell phone to make a call. It is unclear whether Tarasha ever arrived at the flea market. She never returned home, and she has never been heard from again. Now, the car that she was driving, which was a gray Mazda Tribute that she had borrowed from a friend, was found abandoned on the side of the road on Cecil Jackson Bypass, which is just 1 mile from the flea market, and the car, interestingly, was found facing the opposite direction of the flea market. So a little red flaggy, or it could be something, could be nothing. But if the car was found pointing in the opposite direction from the flea market, a possible scenario is she did make it to the flea market and just nobody saw her. There were no witnesses that said they saw her, and she was on her way back home. Possibly something happened to her car. She pulled off on the side of the road. But now it does say that 2 windows on the driver's side of her car were missing, and the driver's side door handle was broken, and it did appear as if someone had rummaged through the contents of the car. So that adds another possible scenario. Either she was on her way back home from the flea market, maybe her car broke down, she got out to walk to find some help, and then just the broken windows, missing windows, and the broken door handle could be possibly attributed to just somebody seeing the car on the side of the road, decided to break into it to see if they could find anything valuable. Or another, and this is just my opinion, another possible scenario is either the car broke down, she was still in the car before she got out to walk, and somebody stopped with maybe some nefarious intentions, possibly abducted her, maybe broke the windows and the door handle, trying to get the door open to snatch her, and took her, put her in another vehicle, and drove away with her. Now, those are just possibilities, scenarios. Nothing like that has ever been spoken of or proven by law enforcement, but it's just something to think about. Her family said it is extremely uncharacteristic of Tarasha to leave without warning. Foul play is suspected in her disappearance. Authorities don't believe that she is still in the local area. Extensive searches turned up no sign of her. One theory is that she was the victim of human trafficking, and or that someone that she was dating possibly was involved in her disappearance, and her case remains unsolved. So if you have any information about Tarasha, her disappearance, if you happen to be in that area at the time of her disappearance, maybe saw her car sitting on the side of the road, maybe she was walking or in the car, or if you saw any other vehicles or persons there with her, please contact the Selma Police Department at 334-874-2134. Next, we have Diana Lee Avera. Diana went missing on August 1st, 1992 from Mount Vernon, Alabama. Also considered endangered missing. She is a white female, 22 years old at the time that she disappeared, 5 foot to 5'3", 100 to 120 pounds. It says that she did suffer from paranoid schizophrenia. She had blonde hair, hazel eyes, and she did have a scar on her right thigh. So Diana was arrested for disorderly conduct on May 21st, 1982, and she involuntarily was committed to Searcy Hospital in Mount Vernon. She received electroconvulsive treatment and other therapies at the hospital, and her family did visit her when she was there. According to them, they said she was, quote, like a zombie and barely able to speak or walk. Sometime in August of that year, Diana escaped from the hospital and she was never seen or heard from again. Now that she disappeared in 1982, but she was not officially reported missing until 2020. Apparently, her family thought that she had been reported missing earlier, but they later found out that this was not the case. So only the State Department of Health had been investigating her disappearance for all those years and not the police. So this one is kind of behind the eight ball as far as law enforcement being able to investigate, since it was so many years past from the time that she went missing in 1982 until she was officially reported missing in 1920. So that is very concerning. Her case obviously remains unsolved, and these are about the only details that are available in her disappearance. But if you do have any information, if you saw anything, please contact the Mobile County Sheriff's Office at 251-574-8720. Next, we have David Michael Burney. David went missing on June 29th, 2007 from Battleground, Alabama. He is considered endangered missing. He is a white male, 46 years old, 5'4" to 5'7", 155 to 165 pounds. At the time he disappeared, he had graying brown hair, brown hazel eyes. He does have numerous tattoos on his arms. He has a scar on his right arm and a brown birthmark on the front of his neck, just under his chin. And at the time he disappeared, he has several teeth missing. So David had purchased a red 1987 Toyota Tercel on June 29th, 2007. It says he planned to drive to Georgia to meet his two daughters. He was last seen at the Jet Pep gas station and convenience store on Highway 157 in Battleground that day. But after that, he was never seen or heard from again. In late August, the Toyota that he had purchased was found abandoned in a Bankhead Forest off County Road B15 in Winston County, Alabama. Locals reported having seen the car there as early as July 7th, which was a week after David disappeared. It was out of gas. The battery was missing, but there was no sign of blood at the scene, and there was no indications of a struggle. The family, his mother, sister, and his 6 children all stated that he would not have left of his own accord, and they do think that he may have met with foul play. They stated that he did have enemies who could have harmed him, and his case is still unsolved. So if you have any information about David, his possible whereabouts, if you saw him that day, if you remember seeing the car was found once again on County Road B15 in Winston County, Alabama. So if you have any information, please call the Coleman County Sheriff's Office at 256-734-0342. Next, we have Christina Lee Carter. Christina went missing on September 17th, 1973. I think this is the oldest, coldest case that we have today. She went missing from Hueytown, Alabama. Once again, considered endangered missing. She is a white female. She was just 3 years old when she went missing, so she would be 53 years old today. At the time that she went missing, she was 3'2" tall, 30 pounds. She had blonde hair, blue eyes. At the time that she disappeared, she wore a toddler size 3, and she did walk pigeon-toed. and her nickname is Christy. Christy was last seen in Hueytown, Alabama on September 17th, 1973. At the time of her disappearance, she lived with her mother, Janet Gail Carter. Now, on this one, we actually have two missing persons. The smaller inset picture you see there is a picture of Christy's mother, Janet. Janet was originally from Winston-Salem, North Carolina, but she was employed with an insurance agency in Birmingham, Alabama in September of 1973. So Janet did disappear at the same time that Christy disappeared. She and Christy's father had gotten divorced 2 months before, and Christy's father was seeking custody of Christy at the time. Janet was dating a married man at the time of her disappearance, and she said that she was going to go on a trip to the Great Smoky Mountains with him. It is unclear whether they had planned on taking little Christy with them on this trip. But when she went missing, and sorry, I lost my place. When she and Christina went missing, her family assumed that they had gone off on the trip to the mountains, or that Janet had taken Christy into hiding, possibly because of the custody dispute that was going on. Unfortunately, on October 7th, Janet, the mother's body, was found inside a duffel bag alongside Clingman's Dome Road in Great Smoky Mountains National Park. It says that she had been suffocated the same day that she was found. Her her remains were not identified for a month, and it was only after this, after the mom, Janet, was identified, that authorities realized that Christina was missing. An extensive search of the park turned up no indication of Christina's whereabouts, unfortunately. According to Janet's family members, her married boyfriend was in the area where Janet's body was found around the time of her death, but his wife did provide an alibi for him, and apparently he is now deceased. Because of the circumstances, authorities suggested that Janet may have given Christina to someone else to care for prior to her homicide, and that Christina might still be alive. But this theory has never been confirmed. Janet's homicide has never been solved, and there have been no signs of Christina since 1973. So if you have any information regarding Christina and Janet, her mother's disappearance, if you saw anything that day, happened to see the gentleman in question in that area, or may have been around the Great Smoky National Mountain Park where Janet's remains were found, and happen to remember something, please call the Hueytown Police Department at 205 491 3587. Next, we have Robert DeShawn Childers. And Robert went missing on September 17th, 2016, from Florence, Alabama. Also considered endangered missing, he is a white male, 51 years old, 6'2", 240 pounds. He was last seen wearing a green long-sleeved Wrangler shirt, blue Wrangler jeans, and brown cowboy boots. They do say that he is classified as disabled and does have mental health and substance abuse issues, and he does take medication. At the time he disappeared, he had gray hair, blue eyes. His nickname is Sean. It says he has fused cervical vertebrae, and he walks with a limp due to neck and back injuries. He has scars from prior surgeries, including an ostomy scar and a scar down the side of his neck, going down to his back. So Robert was last seen at a residence in the 1200 block of Highway 141 in Florence, Alabama on September 17th, 2016. His roommate, David Nix, stated that he left his home sometime between 9 a.m. and 12 p.m. This Nix said he was crying, and after hugging him, he said, "I love you. I don't know when I will see you again." So those are some very concerning statements. After that, he has never been heard from again. And in 2017, some of his medications were found south of his home. I'm assuming that they were maybe found outside. And I don't know if his home was maybe in a rural area with some wooded area. And they just found his medication lying outside somewhere. Like I said, I don't know. That information was not provided. A neighbor did report seeing Childers with this David Nix after the time that David Nix says that Robert left the house. And it also says that David Nix has given inconsistent statements about Robert's disappearance. He stated that he and Childers did not get along and that they had physical fights in the past. Nix does maintain his innocence in the case, and he has not been named as a suspect. It goes on to say that Robert was involved in a property dispute at the time of his disappearance. His father had purchased the house and land, and his father lived there with Robert, but the home was confiscated due to unpaid taxes, and it was sold at auction to a man named Leroy Darby. Darby was attempting to have both men evicted at the time, by the time of Robert's father's death in 2014. 4 to 5 months before Robert disappeared, Darby had the power to the home turned off in an attempt to persuade Robert to leave. A few months later, Darby made another attempt to evict him. Robert was able to get a court order to halt the eviction proceedings, but not before Darby confiscated some of Robert's belongings and dumped them into a ditch in front of the house. There was a hearing scheduled to determine who legally owned the home where Robert lived, but Robert disappeared before the court date. And a few months after, like I said earlier, his belongings were found dumped in the ditch. It is unknown whether his disappearance is related to this property dispute, but police believe he may no longer be alive. Since his disappearance, there has been no activity on his social security number or bank account, and his case remains unsolved. Once again, if you have any information about Robert, his possible whereabouts, circumstances surrounding his disappearance, please call the Lauderdale County Sheriff's Department at 256-760-5757. Next, we have Jerry Wayne Daly II. And Jerry went missing on October 13th, 2013. He went missing from Bessemer, Alabama. He is a white male, 42 years old, 6 foot, tall, 130 to 180 pounds. Last known clothing was a plaid lumberjack type jacket, a dark colored shirt, blue jeans, and a black knit hat. Jerry was taking medication at the time of his disappearance for health issues, including for seizures, mental illness, and one prior heart attack, and he did not have his medication with him when he disappeared. He had red hair, blue eyes. His nicknames are Jay and Red. He does have a tattoo of a star on his left leg and a tattoo of a star on the back of his neck. And so Jerry was last seen in front of a residence in the 500 block of 17th Street North in Bessemer, Alabama on November 13th, 2013. He had withdrawn cash from his bank account so he could buy a car. He was supposed to meet with a cousin, but the cousin was unable to get off work in time to meet him. It says that Jerry was carrying a cell phone at the time of his disappearance, and he has never been heard from again. Now, a man named William Lee Worley tried to use Jerry's credit card twice at a local store a few days after Jerry went missing. Worley, who was a friend of Jerry's, was charged with illegal possession of a credit card and ultimately spent 6 months in jail, but he has not been charged in connection with Jerry's disappearance, so he has never been named formally as a suspect of interest. Foul play is suspected in Jerry's case, and his family believes that he may have been the victim of a homicide. So any information that you might have, please contact the Bessemer Police Department at 205-481-4354. Next up, we have Rebecca Ferguson. Rebecca went missing on September 16th, 1988 from Jasper, Alabama. She is a white female, 32 years old, 5'8", 130 pounds at the time of her disappearance. She had brown hair, brown eyes. Her nickname is Becky, and her maiden name is Files, Files, and her ears were pierced. Becky was last seen in Jasper, Alabama on September 16th, 1988. She was supposed to visit her cousin in Birmingham, Alabama that day, but she never arrived, and she has never been heard from again. Now, 2 days later, her new Cadillac was found abandoned on the shoulder of Alabama 257 near Curry, Alabama. Very disturbing. There were 2 shotgun blasts had been fired through the vehicle, but there was no blood or other evidence of injury. Also, authorities did find some of Becky's jewelry on the floor of her car and some broken jewelry items on her garage floor as well. So this lends to a possible scenario that maybe Becky was abducted from her home, from her garage, by either a stranger or somebody that she may have known. Just going off the fact that they did find broken jewelry items on the garage floor. To me, that would indicate, this is just my opinion, that would indicate some kind of struggle in the garage. Possible that whoever could possibly have abducted her from the garage, put her in the vehicle. Maybe, something happened along the way, and he may have dumped her body somewhere, and just parked the car on the side of the road. Once again, where the car was found abandoned was at 257 near Curry, Alabama. So Becky left behind 2 young sons. She was in the process of a divorce at the time of her disappearance, so that's something to keep in mind. It is uncharacteristic of her to leave without warning or not tell her family of her plans. Her case remains unsolved, and foul play is most definitely suspected. So if you have any information regarding Rebecca's case, anything, if you lived in that area at the time, if you happen to see anything suspicious around her house, her garage, at the time of her disappearance, if you happen to see her car sitting on the side of the road, if you possibly saw because you would think if somebody abducted her and abandoned her car on the side of the road, he would have to have had another mode of transportation, or possibly somebody else picked him up, him or her, most likely him, in my opinion, picked this person up, and they drove off after abandoning her car. But if you have any information, please contact the Walker County Sheriff's Department at 205-302-6177. Next, we have Layla Marie Faulkner. Let me find her information. Layla went missing on July 4th, 2016 from Troy, Alabama. She is considered endangered missing. She is a white female. She was 29 years old at the time she disappeared. If she were alive today, she'll be 37. At the time she disappeared, she was 5'6", 125 to 135 pounds. Last known clothing was a white tank top, white flip-flops, and blue jean denim shorts. It does say that she is an alcoholic, and her family stated that she was abusing substances at the time of her disappearance. She had blonde hair, blue-gray eyes. She had some tattoos. She had a Chinese characters meaning success on her foot, the name Madison on the inside of her right wrist, and cherries on her lower back. She had previously fractured her collarbone and on the right side, and it had healed crookedly. Her ears were pierced, and she pronounces her name Layla. So Layla was last seen in Troy on July 4th, 2016. She had just moved in with her parents after breaking up with her live-in boyfriend. On the day that Layla disappeared, her family had gone to an Independence Day barbecue, and Layla had decided to stay home. She was still home when her parents arrived home that evening. They last spoke to her at around 5:30 p.m., and she did make a post to her Facebook account from her parents' IP address around that same time. And after that, she has never been seen or heard from again. Layla did not take a vehicle with her, but her purse, her cell phone, and her tablet device disappeared along with her. Her family is not sure if someone picked her up at the house or if she went for a walk, and possibly someone picked her up while she was out walking. She had dropped out of sight before, they said, for days at a time, but she has never been gone for this long. Although Layla had regularly posted on her social media accounts, all of them have been inactive since that last Facebook post that was made at around 5:30 p.m. on the day that she disappeared. She has not accessed her bank accounts or used her credit cards or her cell phone. So 2 days prior to her disappearance, Layla and her live-in boyfriend, Blaine Grayhill Jr., did break up. That's why she moved back in with her parents. She had now this is very, very concerning, very red flaggy. She had told her parents that she was afraid of her now ex-boyfriend, and that, quote, if something happens to me, it is him, referring to the ex-boyfriend. It says that Layla and a girl here were fighting with each other on Facebook on the day of her disappearance. She posted to her page, she accused him of stealing money from her, and wrote that according to her, she wrote that he had left her for another man. Growl here said that their breakup was mutual and largely caused by Layla's substance abuse issues, and that he did not leave her for another man. Growl here did take a polygraph about Layla's disappearance. The results were inconclusive. Police asked him to take a second polygraph. He refused to take the second polygraph. And it says he does remain in regular contact with Layla's parents. Layla's mother believes that Layla is no longer alive, as she doesn't think she would have abandoned her child. Grawl here, the ex-boyfriend, is considered a person of interest in Layla's case, and her parents do believe that he knows what happened to her, even if he wasn't necessarily involved, and her disappearance remains unsolved. So if you have any information at all in Layla's case, please contact the Pike County Sheriff's Department at 334-566-4347. Next, we have Donald Ray Forson. Donald went missing on November 3rd, 1998. Trying to get my information to come up. 1 second. There we go. Donald went missing November 3rd, 1998 from Cleveland, Alabama. He is also considered endangered missing. He is a white male. He was 52 years old at the time that he went missing. He will be 78 years old today. He has a, excuse me, at the time he went missing, he had brown hair, brown eyes, and his nickname is Dawn. Now, also in this one, we do have a second missing person. If you see the smaller inset picture on the slide, that is Huey Eddie Hazelrig. Donald and his nephew, Huey Eddie Hazelrig, were last seen together in Cleveland, Alabama on November 3rd, 1998. They did live together. They often worked together, putting up wallboard. They did have a job that day. They returned home by 3:30 p.m. After they returned home, Huey did place a long-distance phone call. The two men left home after the phone call to go check on a car. Huey Hazelrig apparently collected antique cars. They may have been carrying around $3,000 in cash at the time. They were last seen at a tire store on US 231. They never returned home, and neither of them have ever been heard from again. But that evening, police did find Huey Hazelrig's gray 1984 Isuzu pickup truck. It was on fire when they found it, and was found along Warrior Valley Road in Etowah County, Alabama. By the time the fire department responded to the scene, the vehicle had been completely destroyed, but authorities were able to determine that no one had been inside the truck when it was burned. They didn't find any blood or any signs of foul play. But due to the fire destroying the whole truck, any evidence that could have possibly been in the truck would have been destroyed. There were rumors have circulated that Donald and Huey Hazelrig were both homicide victims. Family members believe that they did meet with foul play. Both men did have arrest records, but Hazelriggs had never been convicted of a crime, and Donald Forson only had just some alcohol minor-related misdemeanor convictions. And their case remains unsolved. So, possible scenarios, to me, in my opinion, one is more likely than the other on this one. Said that they had approximately $3,000, may have been carrying around $3,000 in cash at the time. Possible somebody knew that they had this amount of cash with them. It could have been a robbery gone wrong type of situation. And unfortunately, their lives were taken during that possible altercation, and then the car was set on fire to hide any evidence. Now, you would think that instead of if this was the case, you would think that it would have just been easier, unfortunately, to leave their bodies in there and burn them in the truck along with any other evidence. But it says their bodies were not found in the truck. So that leads me to another low possible scenario, that for some reason they had this money, for some reason maybe they were wanting to get away, disappear of their own accord. They took the money, set the truck on fire, and just disappeared. So this one has me. This one is the one of all the 10 cases that has me baffled. Because I don't understand, if it was foul play, if robbery gone wrong, why they wouldn't just leave the bodies in the truck to burn the bodies up along with the truck to destroy any evidence. But they said, the bodies weren't found in the truck, so you would wonder if it was foul play. Why would they remove the bodies from the truck and dispose of them elsewhere? But at any rate, I would love to know what you guys think, what your thoughts on this would be, or on any of the other cases we've talked about today. So please do leave a comment letting me know what you guys think. And if you do have any information about this case, Donald Ray Forson, Huey Eddie Hazelrig, please contact the Blount County Sheriff's Office at 205-625-4127. All right, guys, though, those are our 10 cases for today, all from Alabama, ranging from 1973 up to the 2000s. Please give this video a like, if you don't mind. That helps out tremendously. If this is your first time visiting, or if you're have not subscribed, please consider subscribing. Give the thumbs up. Please leave a comment. And the most important thing you can do is share this video anywhere and everywhere you can. All your social media platforms, any Facebook groups you might be in that center around missing persons or cold cases. Be very much appreciated. Until next time, please take care of yourselves. Be careful out there. Take care of each other. That's the most important thing we can do, is take care of our fellow human beings. Once again, thanks for watching, and I will see you next time. Thanks, guys.